Yeah, first of all, thank you. I'm really happy to be here. There was a lot of mention of Pécs at the Rachel Carson Center, so I'm really glad to finally be here and happy to see you. And thanks to the local organizer and Anna Varga for inviting my colleague and me to start. So actually, I'm just back from a 4-month fieldwork in Thailand, and at the end we had roughly a week in India as well to run a workshop. So today I would like to share many of my very fresh recent impressions. So I will share a lot of photos. But yeah, just before we start with the pictures, I thought about how to interpret our theme, Crises and Methods, and I thought actually there are two ways for me to think about it. So first of all, I would like to present here some methods that I find useful for inquiry into crisis in general, but maybe more specifically into agriculture, because my topic is, as Anna Varga already mentioned, finding out how smallholder farmers can improve their resilience, their resistance in challenging times, in times of crisis, when they shift to organic farming methods or also other similar non-certified traditional farming methods. So I found, there's a set of methods that I found quite helpful when researching into crisis, especially their subjective interpretations of crisis and dealing with it. And there's a second layer which concerns the farmers' practices in times of crisis, like what are viable methods actually for smallholder farmers when they face challenging times. Because that was also one question that I usually approached farmers with. So two layers within that theme, crisis and methods. So maybe agriculture is not such a popular topic in the environmental humanities. You might wonder, okay, what does it have to do with it? Or maybe, seen from the other way around, agricultural sciences or agricultural sciences scholarship doesn't use environmental humanities perspectives a lot. But I would say, it really fits in because farming is per default kind of at the human-ecology interface, as the farmer works with the soil, is automatically in relationship, in interaction with the local surroundings, the ecology. So that's why my argument is that farming is at this interface per default. And then one thing that is very important for me is to see farming not through discrete individual factors, such as the agricultural sciences usually do, for example, soil parameters, or let's say farm management techniques, or whatever, yield improvement, or technological advancement, but to see farming practices and as a web of interrelated factors, which only makes us actually understand the challenging situations, or understand or get a clear picture of farming, of smallholder farming. And in the end to see the crisis through interrelationships between different factors and not only individual discrete factors. So I have a couple of suggestions beforehand based on my previous observations. So I've been roaming Thailand, basically Bangladesh and India for nearly 10 years throughout my postdoc period. Working with smallholder farmers and kind of trying to inquire what makes them, how do they perceive challenging situations, crisis, and what are kind of viable farming methods for them. So based on these observations, I suggest that these agricultural sciences scholarship approaches, that they could be complemented through social sciences framings. For example, this is just, a set of methods that I use comes from human or cultural geography. My background is cultural geography, actually. And I also use ethnographic methods. And this cultural geography, for those who are not familiar with it, also actually include a way of approaching material, like material things. So one could say that the emotional relationship between a farmer and soil is already like a valid factor of their farming practice. So you don't only look at very concrete materials, let's say, soil or whatever, machines that farmers are using, but you also could inquire into their relationship between their environment and themselves, including emotional relationships. And this is, for me, a very good chance to see really the core issues of farmers on the ground, and to kind of grasp their, small-scale farmers are struggling and the injustices that they face. Though, there are a lot of layers to it. So my message here, before we go into the pictures, is that the common technocratic agriculture discourses are quite linear, and in order to really grasp these real-life complexities and the crises that overlap, these overlapping crises that small-scale farmers experience, could be complemented through the methods that I mentioned to get a clearer picture of agriculture and to understand their situation on the ground through these relational approaches. Okay, so and this is my second message. Beyond, it's a lot of fun actually to go in the field just try to go really into the complexities, stay with farmers and see, share their narratives, just share their stories in order to get a clear picture of the entire farming setup. Okay, so just to give you like a brief overview of what I did. So the fieldwork that I just returned from is part of my individual grant granted by the German Research Foundation, the DFG. The rest I already mentioned. No, it's about smallholder farming, small farming households resilience, and I'm especially interested in inquiring a nexus. I call it the health-nutrition-ecology nexus. That means like the relationships that between the health of farmers, their nutritional status, and basically the ecological health of their farm environment, which I call health, nutrition, ecology nexus. And with the overarching aim basically to inquire about what are more viable farming methods that work well for farmers. So my fieldwork includes in total 9 months. So last year I went to Thailand for nearly 6 months, and this time it was a bit less than 4 months. Usually I go, but this is just a sample, no? I mean, you can use different methods, but I usually go well with semi-structured or even like unstructured, non-structured open interviews, but also very, informal conversations which give a lot of information. So we just spoke about it yesterday, actually, like some of my most insightful conversations I had with people just randomly, or sitting on the car together or on the bike or whatever, or in a tea stall and having an informal chat. These are also not really documented, so I don't record them because I'm always like, okay, should I record it? Should I switch on? Should I ask whether I can switch on the recorder? But then I think it will just break the flow, so I let people speak and share. And I feel that these stories are usually the most revealing and insightful, which are actually more fun also for both sides. So a lot of informal conversations, mostly on-site. I did a couple of them online on Zoom or whatever. And because my Thai is still, well, let's say in progress, I usually go with a translator, but translators are usually persons I trust and who are also very familiar with, well, basically, he's a farmer, or another person is at least very interested in the topic, which is important because, I mean, people from different spheres of life speak kind of different languages. So, yeah, it's good to have like a common ground between translator, myself, and the interview participants. Yeah, and then I do a lot of farm visits, obviously. I mean, that usually comes together with the interviews, or sometimes just farm walks if a farmer doesn't want to speak, but just let me observe them in the field or whatever, or show me around. So I do that as well. I do participatory observation, which is fun. When I get engaged, we will see that along with the pictures later. And sometimes if there's opportunity of attending a farmer's meeting, that's also a good way of just sitting and observing a little bit, and then also meeting and speaking to the farmers. Or of course, most of the time I stay in Bangkok as my base, or sometimes there are food fairs happening, or some public events that are related, so I visit them. So what is important for myself, but again, it's just an example, is like really to collect these, collect narratives basically, collect people's stories. They're very individual, they're very subjective, and yet they, or maybe because of that, they give me insight in what people on the ground really feel, basically. And many people also really want to share and tell me, okay, share my story somewhere else. No? Therefore, it's really important to, have people speak and share these narratives. And that requires, obviously, from my side, listening, actually from both sides, listening and using empathy. But this is something, I mean, I'm not sure if you can learn empathy, but if you're already using it in your daily life, then it's also very useful, proves to be very useful in the field. No? Flexibility I put because, you have to be very, to a certain degree flexible in like that plans change, or you end up meeting not the person you're supposed to meet, but you meet a neighbor. So there's some kind of, you always need to adjust like from day to day whom you will meet. But I mention it here because it might be stressful, because we might not be used to that, because we're used to a very like a planned, like a planned out field trip or something. But from that flexibility, we can gain actually some new encounters. Yeah. So so one meeting is cancelled, but another one emerges. So it's good to embrace these changes. Then it's very important for me to understand, have a basic understanding of just people's like local notions of, just daily life, notions of farming, notions of this interconnectedness, or notions of subjectivity and objectivity. You know, is it discrete or is it one? I mean, are we part of ecology, or are we? Am I an individuum and this is my environment, for example? So it's good to have this understanding of local notions before you, or along with being in the field, actually. Yeah. And then it's very important also to take note of your own emotions that you develop in your fields, but also the emotions kind of, for example, conveyed through language of the research participants, right? It's good if you're able to at least attempt reading these emotions, because they are revealing also. Okay, so that's what I do. Let's go into the pictures. So the pictures are just exemplary for the methods I use, but I will also talk a little bit about some farmers and stories that they shared while I was there. So that is very recently, actually. Month ago, beginning of September, I went along with my translator to the province of Chiang Rai, which is in northern Thailand, and we went to see P. Big. He agreed to be mentioned, that's why. So this is P. Big, and he's basically a middleman. He's a rice mill owner, like medium-sized rice mill. You see it in the middle picture. You see a part of the rice mill. So medium size. So he's an entrepreneur, but he's more of a he's more social than an entrepreneur, I would say. What one? This one? Ah, okay. Is it? Yeah, I think we need to. Because I can't jump out, right? Okay. Okay. Thank you. So this is P. Big, and he was he is working with some farmers in his nearest surroundings, who used to be conventional farmers, but he's kind of trying to like promote organic farming methods among them, and they're also quite fond of it. Maybe not yet converting 100%, but really trying. So they deliver the rice to his rice mill, and he kind of sells it under a different brand, under a kind of premium brand compared to the conventional rice that he also sells. So he was calling some of his farmers, I mean the farmers in his surroundings, for a farmer meeting. He had actually invited some, like an expert person who also had a hands-on session on making biofertilizers or biopesticides from, basically from scratch, from local, like even farm materials or very cheaply available materials. So they listened to that, and we stayed for 3 days and took the chance actually to speak to some farmers. Most of them are elderly, because most young people actually left that part of the country. So that was quite cheerful, actually. Everyone was listening eagerly. Some of the farmers shared their knowledge as well. But this is just a picture of how we got there. We took a night train because we thought, okay, it's an environmentally related project, so we should not take the plane. So we went on night train. So that is Chiang Rai. This is how it looks like in the surroundings. So it's a really rice-growing area with, I would say, like medium-sized rice fields, paddy fields. This is how we sometimes go around. Unfortunately, you can't really see it, but he's sitting on he's a farmer himself, on a motorbike, and we set this is kind of a homemade, like, half of a cage, basically, welded together from metal. So that's the regular vehicle there. This doesn't work. No? So that's the landscape. And then on one day in the afternoon, after the sessions, we went to some of the farmers' fields. He's a farmer. He's growing rice in this field. It's 1 month old. Approximately, but he actually said it's not his own rice field. He wished he had a rice field, then he would also grow more, but he's growing on his sister's rice field, and he was not complaining, but he's he doesn't make much income because he has to share with his sister, but he does it because he knows how to do it, and he says it's just his occupation, so what else should he do, and he loves it also. It's revealing a bit of mindset also. He's another farmer. I mean, they're kind of all in friendly relationship. He just came back from the field actually picking, collecting crab, which is a sign that the water quality is quite good because the farmers don't or rarely use any chemicals. Yeah, so the crabs and the small fish you can eat. Yeah, here I was just testing the depth of the sometimes it's good to just like touch the ground and feel the field. Yeah, so this is like a usual interview situation where you sit on, they call it sala. It's basically just a wooden small platform by the rice field made from scratch. Yeah, he was also like a very, this is a regular actually a canister to spray chemicals, but you can equally use it for like the biofertilizers, which are basically some fermented juices mixed with water. So he uses that for spraying kind of these biopesticides whenever there's a pest. But he also said that actually they're very lucky. Apparently there's not many like insects that compromise the yields. He's quite elderly also, like in his 80s, but yeah, he still enjoys. He says, oh, he can't imagine a day where he doesn't come to sit on that sala and go to his rice field. Although, I mean, he's not making, these small farmers now, they don't make much income. But if they're able to sell to this P-Big, here he is again on the right, then they can earn some extra income actually, because P-Big pays them, I think like, I think 60% more than the regular middleman pay. Yeah, this is another interview situation. And then on the third day we went up to the far north, so like it was nearly by the border to Myanmar. I found this man very interesting. Because the way he talks about it, he's always smiling, really. You really can feel how much he enjoys farming. He's fully organic because he says, well, I want to eat my own rice, I want to eat healthily, and I know about the dangers of the like agrochemicals that other farmers put, his neighbors even. And he also has, he combines rice farming with a small like vegetable garden and some fruit trees, so he's nearly self-reliant all year round. And but then I asked him, okay, yeah, you seem very happy with that. And yeah, he's very happy. And then I asked, it's a delicate question, but you can ask about the financial situation. And he says, oh, he's highly indebted. So he, also he doesn't make so much money, and yet he's very happy. When I asked like about challenging times, that's what I usually do. I kind of avoid the word crisis. He said, no, first of all, first time he said, no, there are no challenging times. And then I said, oh, what about weather, maybe climate change related changes or whatever? And then he said, oh yeah, right, last year we had a drought. Yeah, I lost nearly all my harvest, and my debts accumulated. This is very insightful for me because that's his way of seeing crisis, or actually not seeing a crisis. I mean, or he sees the crisis, but he acknowledges it, but he doesn't speak about it as a crisis, which is maybe one could argue one way of being resilient or something. Yeah, so an amazing attitude, which I find it admiring because I would probably feel very bad if I just lost my harvest. And I would definitely mention it to someone who asked me about challenging times. Yeah, so that was very interesting. Yeah, here we are in 24, so last year, in a very interesting project. It's called Meta-Organic Sustainable Living Community. So it's basically a village or yeah, it's a village, or like an assemblage of several small villages called Meta. It's also in northern Thailand, but in Chiang Mai, not in Chiang Rai. And Meta Organic is known for its cooperative. So they started to, actually they had a very active role model, an influencer, let's say, who started. He's actually the pioneer of the sustainable agriculture movement in Thailand, which started in the 80s roughly. He's no more anymore, but his daughter, she came back to the village to live there and to kind of continue his legacy also. So they have built up a cooperative where farmers can deliver their stuff, their produce, and then it goes partly to the local market. Well, it has some cooperative scheme in the background, no? And another part goes actually into supermarkets where they even fetch like higher premium prices. So that is a very good example of a functioning network, and it's also not every farmer in that community grows organically, because it is really difficult. But in this community, I realized how much easier it is if there's already like a network, like-minded people, where you rather get support, like even moral support, rather than being discouraged or something. So this is very important if you consider shifting away from agrochemicals. And also the harvesting, for example, is not everywhere, but most of the time it's kind of shared. It's done communally. So this is the sweet potato harvest. They're quite famous for sweet potatoes. Actually, it used to be an area where tobacco was grown with like really high input of agrochemicals until the 70s or 80s, when people, among them this influencer, this pioneer, said, well, we're all facing health problems, the cancer rates are really high, we have to do something and kind of also claim our land back, yeah, and make it kind of fertile again. So that was the point where they shifted to organic farming. Yeah, so that is the sweet potato harvest. These people, like their neighbors, they help each other out. And then, yeah, so there's another interview situation, which is really nice. This is the pile of sweet potatoes. The day after, sweet potatoes need to be cleaned. They have these little like hairs. So you kind of, just clean them, take off these hairs, hairy parts, and then they're ready to be packed or, go to the cooperative store thing. So also here, the neighbors just come and help each other out, and we thought, it's a great opportunity to sit with Pear. She also has a sweet potato field, and we interviewed her while we cleaned sweet potatoes, which is a nice way of, it's like a casual conversation situation. No? It's like people feel comfortable because they're doing what they're intended to do. They might not have time to sit with you individually for an interview, so that is a really good compromise, and I at the same time get a feeling of their work also. So that is the sweet potato pile. This is Pipui. This is the daughter of the I call him now, let's say he's an influencer. She's also a seed activist, so here we interview her while she is kind of separating different seeds that she grows in her garden. Most of them are heirloom seeds, so they're reproducible. So we also watch her doing her work while we talk. And this is, so I now I remember why I put these slides and these pictures, because I talked, next to their house were two neighbors who didn't grow organically, so we also went to interview these, let's call them chemical farmers, because I want to know what their situation is and what makes it maybe difficult for them to also shift. Also, they see the positive examples, and they also see that these organic farmers earn more money. So we talked about crisis a little bit with the chemical farmers, and I mentioned the example of the pandemic because during the pandemic many of the fresh markets remained closed, so farmers didn't have any chance to actually deliver their produce. So sometimes it was even rotting in their farms. They didn't even go to pick it up. They couldn't make any income. So that really affected, for example, the chemical farmers' neighbors' livelihood during these times. And then, I mean, it's not about promoting organic farming here, but then when I asked this lady, for example, she's fully organic and she has a really big market. She sends out like veggie boxes also. Here she's actually like presenting her, how do you say, like the bill, like her accountings to us, so we could see all the numbers and how much benefit she makes each year. And she said, yeah, pandemic, no, I mean, we remained unaffected because we grow, first of all, organically, and we grow a huge variety. So also vegetables and fruits and rice, so we're basically self-sufficient, and whatever we don't have on our farm, we just swap with the neighbors, trade it or something. So yeah, it was kind of amazing to see how people who live so close to each other deal differently with a pandemic or something. Does this clock actually work? What time is it?
No.
It's not. What time is it? Oh, okay. Oh, then I should wrap up soon, right? I thought, oh, I've got plenty of time. Okay, so that is meta, very fascinating. Yeah, I mean, we can stop any time, basically. No, okay. 10 more minutes? 15? Yeah? I can't see it here. Huh? Okay, fine. Yeah, so these are just like actually, I didn't visit really their farms, but we just happened to interview some people in some villages. But I put them on the slides because, yeah, they were representative of the kind of this tricky situation of being stuck or seeing no alternative. For example, he's some kind of a village head or something, but he's also a farmer. I mean, everyone has a small field over there, and right now nothing is growing. That was just after the harvest, but usually he grows rice. But in his role as a village head, he's kind of promoting organic farmers to his neighbors. But then when I asked him, do you grow organically? Is it possible? And he said, no, it's not possible. I have to spray because of the insects. So I have to spray pesticides. It's really bad, but if I don't spray, if I don't put any chemical fertilizer, then I will get no yield, which is not an option. So he is kind of at this point where he sees there's actually no way for his farm to sustain doing it the chemical way, but there's also, it's just too difficult or maybe out of reach to actively shift to other methods, which will also actually require some conversion period. I mean, it just takes a while after shifting until your yield gets about the same as before or even increases, but that might take 3 years or even 5 years depending on the soil quality. So it's really, and you can really see the struggle, and it's really difficult, especially if you're kind of a loner who has no support, not much supportive network. And in these areas, the same issue over here. Actually, this couple they grow for this lady. She's kind of actually a rich Bangkok person who moved there. So they grow organically for her, but in their own farms they use chemicals, and they say, we know it's really bad for our health, we don't even make much income, but they say that their family is so much opposing this organic idea. They say, no, this is bullshit, we can't do it, you will fail, and kind of losing face is a big issue in their area, and this farmer faces the same issue basically. So there can be, it's not linear, it's very complex. You want to shift, but there are so many factors that kind of make you not shift. Whereas at this meta community, the network was already existing, so there are more factors that actually help and kind of encourage you, let's say. So that's a very, actually this is, I should say, this is a very bad interview situation, because she was translating for me, she's a friend. We were supposed to speak with a couple alone, but then the farm owner came and she sat along with us. But kind of out of politeness, I could also not tell her to go away, to leave the setting. But yeah, if that ever happens to you, try to get rid of them, because they were really inhibited to talk, so we didn't get, they couldn't really open their hearts. And she also was very talkative. Ooh, we're online, my God. She is very talkative, so she kind of talked over these persons, which was not good. Okay, that's it. This is just some farm visits where we didn't do much interviews. That's what they call fermented juices. I don't know if you can tell. It has some nice worms also. So it's kind of alive. It's basically made from scratch from any farm material. For example, like chopped banana leaves or stems or something, and they let it sit to ferment, and then it can be used according to the ingredients. It can be used either as a fertilizer or as a pest repellent. It's not a pesticide, but pest repellent or something. This lady, found her also very interesting. She lives with her 2 sisters, only 3 sisters, and they're running a big orchard, making good money also with that. And here is like a side income. They're cultivating mushrooms. I don't know if you can see. So they will be popping out of these bags. This is actually a very popular like side income or something, which farmers mention as a means to more resilience now. Like mushrooms yield quite high money, but the investment is quite low. So it's a really good, just a second income or something, a year-round income, compared to most chemical farmers who do monocropping and therefore risk to lose their yearly income if the harvest goes down or is compromised through whatever. Okay, these are just some nearly last pictures. I told you that I do participative observation. So for example, so he's my friend who also joined me to Chiang Rai, to the rice fields, as a translator, but he also has a farm, and I've known him for 12 years already. So sometimes I go to his farm and just stay for 10 days, because it gives me an opportunity to also to just observe, to be involved in the cycles. I do help with the garden, obviously. So here we are collecting leaves, because it's just in the middle of the dry season, so a lot of leaves have fallen down. We collected, there was another volunteer, and pile them up to make a compost. And it really, if you water it, it really decomposes in that tropical weather within 3 weeks or something. So here we're planting, that was last year. This is, I think, tomato. And he has another idea, because his farm is a former orchard. like fruit trees in neat rows. But his aim is to turn it into an agroforest, basically. Also for farmers to have another income from the hardwood that he grows. So we are replacing here, we're first cutting some of the old fruit trees and replacing them by hardwood trees. And this is actually just a week ago, he sent me this picture saying, hey, your Saturn is the name of the tree, is growing really well. It's already like up to his height. Yeah, and so the farm stay itself is a nice way for me to just roam around, discover some cocoa beans or whatever, roam in the forest or help in the garden, as a way of knowing my field, basically. Okay, so, but then, this is my last slide, sorry. Just at the end of, so after Thailand, end of October, a colleague from the RCC and me and a friend in India, we had sat together last year already, and we thought like, oh, we should actually organize a workshop. A workshop is also part of my DFG project, and we decided just to, because she's building up a farmer field school, so she has the facilities already. So I said, yes, I will gather some Thai farmers and bring them to India. That is my last method, actually, that I want to present, which is that intercultural workshop. And we didn't call it a workshop, we call it a gathering, because a workshop kind of creates this formal atmosphere and might also make people expect to have some experts coming, but we intentionally wanted a hierarchy-free exchange between practitioners or whoever who wants to join on their farming practices, with the aim of, just have this intercultural encounter and ideally mutual learning and staying connected, and kind of getting this encouragement basically from a broader group. So, and it turned out actually to be really amazing. I mean, I had no idea what the Indian farmers would react to the Thai farmers and vice versa. And I thought I might need to moderate a lot, but during the ice-breaking session already, they went really deep into topics of spiritual connection. Like they were asking, hey, what does the soil mean for you? And then the Indian farmer said, oh, for me, we call it as a mother, and you have to take care of your mother. And then the Thai said, oh, this is similar to us, only that we call the soil our child, and we need to nourish our child. So it went really deep without any prompts from the organizer side. But yeah, obviously that gives a lot of insights for me as well. That was the group on the first day, and then it was a 4-day gathering, so each day different composition. That is the local organizer, Renuka, my friend, and Nakul from RCC as well. Yeah, so we had some hands-on sessions and went to the field, and they really exchanged like practices about like, oh, I've got these insects eating my eggplants, how do you deal with it? And then there was a discussion, 20 minutes discussion going on of how they deal with it. Yeah, there was a rainy day, so we stayed under shelter, and a really cool excursion where we went to Vetri's farm. He's a young organic farmer in the area. He's also trying to build up cooperative, so he had a lot of things in common with one of the participants from Meta, and we helped, that was like, kind of a cultural activity. We helped planting rice in his field, and we even, like not very neatly, but I hope that the ceremony that we did in the beginning helped the rice grow. So I hope he won't face any failure or something in yield. Yeah, we had some indoor session as well. Yeah, that was the workshop. Very emotional exchange, which was very insightful, and you could really learn how farmers deal with difficult situations, for example. Yeah, that's it mainly. I mean, this is just, oh, we can talk about it later or not, like there are many ways of processing the material. Okay, in academia we can publish scientific papers, but I'm also quite intrigued by like smaller pieces for a broader public in blog posts or something. Yeah, just to give some ideas of what to do with it now. You could turn these narratives. I feel there's so much material, so many stories. I would love to have like 3 years time just to publish and maybe turn it into stories, even children's stories or something. But like my main intention is to come back to these agricultural discourses, but to kind of really use these stories from the ground to challenge the common agricultural discourses. And that's also where I think the environmental humanities perspective can help. Yeah, ecolinguistics, I think it will be too long if I talk about that. But this is a branch of linguistics, for example, that plays with wording in sentences in order to kind of influence the common discourses. So that's another thing I'm working on. Cool. Thank you very much for listening and for traveling to Thailand and India with me.